Welcome to this explainer. Now, just a quick heads up before we dive right in. This summary was actually created using Gemini Notebook, but absolutely everything we're covering today is based entirely on real, verified public sources. Our goal here is to give you, CISOs and security leaders, a highly tactical, prioritized briefing on what is, quite frankly, a massive, downright historic patch release. Okay, let's quickly run through our agenda. We are covering the Patch Tuesday overview and its unprecedented scale, active exploitation of the WinSock zero day, public zero days, and smoldering critical RCEs, the Shield Break Defender bypass, broader ecosystem updates, and we'll wrap up with your CISO action plan. We're going to cut straight through the noise to prioritize your immediate fires. So, starting off with Section 1, the August 2026 Patch Tuesday overview and its absolutely unprecedented scale. If your IT and security teams are feeling a bit overwhelmed this week, well, there is a very good mathematical reason for it. Microsoft has issued patches for an astonishing 421 CVEs this August. Just to put that into perspective for a second, a typical August release historically runs between maybe 60 to 80 CVEs. We are literally looking at 5 to 6 times the normal monthly volume. It's a staggering workload. Now, looking at this severity breakdown, out of those 421 vulnerabilities, we've got 42 rated as critical and 355 rated as important. While that sheer volume is definitely daunting, our focus today is laser-targeted on mitigating the immediate business impact of those 42 critical flaws and, of course, the 0 days hiding within them. Moving right along to Section 2, active exploitation, focusing specifically on the WinSock zero day. All right, this is the most urgent threat on the board. This is an active nation-state 0 day currently burning in the wild. We're talking about CVE 2026-6820. It's a use after free vulnerability in the Windows ancillary function driver for WinSock. Now, it carries a CVSS score of 7.0, but do not let that medium-high number fool you for a second. It allows a local attacker to elevate to full system privileges. The North Korean Lazarus Group is actively exploiting this right now in their Operation Dream Job campaign to deploy the FUD module kernel rootkit. And as we all know, history shows us that nation-state exploits typically trickle down to commodity ransomware toolkits within about 60 to 90 days, so the clock is absolutely ticking on this one. Next up, Section 3, public 0 days and smoldering critical RCEs. We're shifting from active fires to what I like to call smoldering threats. We have 2 publicly disclosed 0 days to worry about here. First, there's an elevation of privilege flaw in the Windows User Profile Service with a CVSS of 7.8, which actually already has a proof of concept known as Legacy Hive out in the wild. Second, we're looking at a container isolation tampering flaw via the UnionFS filter driver. Because attackers already have access to proof of concept code for both of these, widespread exploitation isn't just possible, it's highly probable. Now, look at this. This is a fascinating contrast between the 2 heaviest CVSS 9.8 risks on the board. On one side, we have a Windows DNS server stack buffer overflow that requires 0 authentication and is completely wormable, meaning, yeah, it spreads automatically server to server. Compare that to a TFTP server use after free flaw on the other side. While that DNS flaw definitely sounds scarier on paper, Microsoft explicitly warns that the TFTP flaw is actually more likely to be weaponized. So if your enterprise uses Windows deployment services for network OS deployment, you are heavily exposed here and need to move fast. And get this, beyond DNS and TFTP, we've got 35 other critical remote code execution vulnerabilities that require absolutely 0 user interaction. This includes a CVSS 9.8 unauthenticated network attack against Microsoft Quick and a highly critical deserialization flaw in the High Performance Computing, or HPC, pack. It's just a massive surface area to cover this month. Okay, on to Section 4, the Shield Break Defender bypass. Let's pivot to an incredibly complex, emerging systemic issue. This tracks a relentless game of cat and mouse between Microsoft and a security researcher known as Nightmare Eclipse. Back in May, Microsoft hardened their APIs. By June, this researcher dropped the rogue Planet Zero day to bypass them. Microsoft scrambled, issued a patch in July, but then, just this month, the researcher dropped the Shield Break exploit, completely blowing past Microsoft's fix. It targets the Microsoft Malware Protection Engine itself, which is exactly the tool meant to protect your endpoints. Here's the kicker. Unlike earlier versions of this exploit, Shieldbreak actually boasts a 100% success rate. And even more alarmingly, it's confirmed to work on server builds. That means your domain controllers and session hosts are now fully in scope. And because no patch currently exists for Shieldbreak whatsoever, strict application allow listing is literally your best and only immediate control to block this threat.
All right, Section 5, Broader Ecosystem Security Updates.
While Microsoft is obviously dominating the headlines with over 400 CVEs, we can't forget that your attack surface extends well beyond just a single vendor. We are seeing major concurrent threats right now. You've got active exploitation confirmed in Enable's and Central servers, and Metabase is seeing a critical SQL injection flaw being used right this second in active data theft attacks. These absolutely cannot be ignored. Plus, there are public exploits out for Cisco, ClamAvi, a maximum severity CVSS 10.0, yes, a 10.0 flaw in SAP Commerce Cloud, alongside critical updates from Adobe, TP-Link, and VMware. It's an all-hands-on-deck month for patching. Which brings us perfectly to Section 6, your CISO, Action Plan, and Prioritization. With hundreds of vulnerabilities dropping simultaneously, you need a concrete plan. Direct your teams to execute this exact sequence. Step 1, neutralize the active fires immediately. That's the Winsock Zero Day being used by Lazarus and those actively exploited Enable and Metabase flaws. Step 2, tackle the high-probability theoretical risks, specifically those CVSS 9.8 RCEs in your DNS and TFTP servers. Step 3, lock down the public zero days like the legacy Hive POC. And finally, Step 4, get strict application allow listing in place immediately to protect against the unpatched Defender Shieldbreak exploit. Managing an attack surface of this magnitude is incredibly challenging, to say the least. For more deep dives into cloud, security, and AI insights, viewers should subscribe to the YouTube channel @YalEstrin. I want to leave you with this final thought to really challenge how your organization processes threat intelligence at scale. When a historic month like this hits, it tests the very limits of our vulnerability management programs. Are your teams actually equipped to immediately isolate that one active nation-state zero day from hundreds of other important patches? Because at the end of the day, that agility is exactly the difference between a secure enterprise and a compromised one. Thanks for tuning into this explainer, and definitely stay secure out there.